Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
And
People don't normally say that to me.
welcome, guys, to Legends of the 70s. Genius, gifted, sir, class, legend, skillful, icon, magician are all words used to describe my guest this evening. It is the one and only, the great, the last fancy Dan, Duncan McKenzie. How are you, Duncan?
I'm very well, thank you. You missed out Maverick and Enigma.
Yes, I was going to put them down. And also what some managers called you, luxury players. That is
Uh,
the biggest no-no I've ever heard come out of anybody's mouth, because you guys, and there was a number of you in the 70s, inspired us kids to play football, turn on Match of the Day, and try and replicate some of the things that you did, because you were just extraordinary.
well, it was lovely playing at that time. It was nice to be able to play, I suppose, with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
And when I think around, I mean, I was full of admiration for so many players in that era. You know, Frank Worthington, Tony Curry, Stan Bowles, Alan Hudson. It was full of players like that, and yet they never seem to be rewarded.
That's because English football has never known how to reward those kind of players. It still doesn't to this day. We are going to take a trip down memory lane, Duncan, and remember those halcyon days of the beautiful game. But first, let's go back to the beginning. Duncan McKenzie, born on the 10th of the 6th, 1950, in Grimsby. Talk to me briefly about growing up. What was Grimsby like in those days? You were an only child. You developed an ability to throw golf balls, javelins, and jumping as well when you was a kid, didn't you? So talk to me briefly about growing up.
I mean, it was fantastic, and it was slightly different. And then Grimsby to what it is today. It was the biggest fishing port in the world, and many of us kids got together, and one of our hobbies was trawler spotting. Can you imagine? Yeah, I know. We did train spot as well, but trawler spotting. And it was, growing up in Grimsby. I mean, it was terrific. It was the biggest town and still is in Lincolnshire. One could say, that it's been 100,000 the population for donkey's years. They always used to say, whenever a child is born in Grimsby, a parent moves. But so that's how the sort of population has stayed the same. I was very lucky. I mean, I don't envy kids growing up today, but when I was growing up, we were on a council estate. We had a huge lawn at the edge of the council estate, and very often we'd have 25 kids playing each other. So 25 aside, the girls were sat in the middle making daisy chains, and that was just the way it was. I mean, when you were on holiday, you got up at whatever o'clock, had your breakfast, and you didn't see your parents again till it was dark.
Yeah.
And it was so safe. I mean, that it was a wonderful. I mean, I've been very lucky. I think I've had the best of it. I mean, went through there. Then my dad didn't want me to play football.
Right.
He definitely didn't want me to play football. He worked on Grimsby Dock with ex-Grimsby Town players that were now labourers. And so he thought that would be me and wanted me to stop at school. So obviously I stopped at school, did A-levels, and at the 11th hour, the headmaster, Mr. Havard of Winchlingham Grammar, lovely man, he contacted my grandfather and said, look, have a word with Mac and turn around and tell him, let him go and play football. This is the last chance he'll get. And if it doesn't work, he'll know inside 12 months and he can come back and we'll further his education. He said, I've had colleges onto him. So the dad agreed. Reluctantly, he agreed. I mean, I do understand how well he meant. And he did me a favour in not letting me become an apprentice anywhere, because I went on and furthered my education, which came into use later on in life. And it was wonderful. It really was wonderful. Then Johnny Carey at Nottingham Forest, the manager, There was a guy called Rowley Abrams who recommended me to Nottingham Forest. They sent me a letter and asked me for a trial, and I went there and got carted off the pitch after 10 minutes. Some great oaf had clobbered me. And so I was in the treatment room, and Johnny Carey came in and he said, I know I've only been watching you for 10 minutes, he said, but I've seen enough.
Yeah.
He said, as soon as you're fit and well, ring us and let us know. And my dad sort of got the phone call when I was fit again, and he said, can he come and play for the reserves in the Central League? And so that's how it all started.
What a great education, though, playing for the reserves in the Central League and having such a magnificent man of football, the great Johnny Carey, as your manager and your mentor. Can you remember playing some of those games as a young kid against some of the seasoned pros? Because that's what used to happen when they come back from injury.
Yeah.
They'd have a run out with the reserves, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, it beggars belief. I mean, it doesn't happen today. I mean, they get so much money nowadays, and they can't be bothered playing at that level. But I played against Manchester United when Bill Foulkes and Shea Brennan were playing in the Central League, recovering from injuries, and this sort of happened. Went to Liverpool with Nottingham Forest reserves, 13,000 people.
Yeah.
Turned up for the game. I mean, it was a very, very popular league and a very popular event.
And a great grounding, being around those senior pros. It's the best grounding that any young kid could have in the game of football, isn't it? Learning from the masters.
Yeah, exactly. It was amazing. I mean, the players that I got to play with ultimately was, people like Joe Baker, Jim Baxter, Tommy Gemmell, world-class players, and I ought to apologise on this programme to a lot of Scots of my age, because they would have wrote to Nottingham Forest for Jim Baxter's autograph, and it was me.
Was Jim slightly worse for wear? Because he did like a bevy, didn't he? It wasn't his best time at Nottingham Forest.
No, I mean, without being too insulting, he was pregnant when he arrived at Nottingham Forest. But I mean, what a skill, what a player, I mean, he got 10 out of 10 2 weeks running in the Sunday People.
Yeah.
Against Stoke City and Liverpool, both away, because the grounds were frozen and everybody else was down to his level of fitness, so to speak.
I mean, he was some player in his pomp, wasn't he, Slim Jim?
Oh, he was great. Well, when he joined Forest, he said to Joe Baker, "Will you play me? Like head tennis, with the football." Joe said, no, Slim, no, not me. So I've got a young kid here, he'll play you, Duncan. So I used to play him. Oh, he was like a surrogate father to me. He used to buy, and also a lot of the other young players, we go to Trent Bridge to the cafe, just round the corner from the ground. And he used to pay for the lunches for us players. It was incredible. He was a lovely man, absolutely lovely man.
And played keepy uppy as well at Wembley, didn't he, in 1967?
Didn't he do it well? Front of the Royal Box, yeah. I remember that very well.
He was different class. You had some great players. Was Story Moore still playing his trade?
Oh, Muggsy, yeah.
Yeah.
His nickname was Muggsy. And God almighty, you've never seen anything like him. Played on the left wing and scored like the best part of 30 goals a season. They turned out, you could whack him in from 25, 30 yards with either foot. And a lovely guy as well. He is a great pal. He still is, So I see him occasionally, and it's lovely when I do.
Yeah, you Forest guys still stick together. You go out one of the Thursday nights in the month, don't you? All the Forest legends. I
Yeah,
have taken a trip down memory lane with the great Ian Storymore, my Lord Storymore. What an
yeah.
absolute legend. Forest had some great
Well,
legends.
you see, all these great players came out of Lincolnshire. Did you know
Yeah,
that? You know,
absolutely.
Keegan, Ray Clements, Ian Storymore.
Yeah. And Lincoln, of course, was the first club that had City attached to the name as well.
Yeah, I mean, isn't that strange?
Mm.
It really is. Mind you, I suppose, you know, with the Lincoln Cathedral and the castle, and it's got a great history.
You jumping and throwing, you developed that while you were at school. You was a pole vaulter, a javelin thrower, and high jumper,
How did
wasn't you?
you find all this out? Somebody been grassing on me.
No, I've read The Last Fancy, Dan, and I made some
Oh,
notes and,
right.
Hit for Six by Derek Randall. I'd love that. Your
Yeah.
salt and vinegar crisps across Trent Bridge. I mean, it is a great read. I know it was a few years ago, but you are 75 this year, Duncan. It would be great to have another book coming out, probably an update or something, because we should
Yeah.
mark these legends.
I was, I was, you could put me down as being happy daft, if you like,
Yeah.
Um, every time something crops up, I see, pole vaulting, you mentioned, that had never been done in schools. And they decided that they were going to introduce it into schools this particular year, which would have been 1966.
Yeah.
And the Lincolnshire Championships were all held at RAF Cranwell. And so the guy came up to me, Dennis Moore, was a lovely man. He was a football coach and teacher at Wintringham Grammar School in Grimsby. He said to me, he said, we've got to enter somebody in the pole vault. He said, you're the only one I can think of that can do it. He said, so you're going to have a go. So basically, it was a metal pole. There was there's none of this fiberglass nonsense where the pole bent.
Yeah.
And you went charging down the pit, stuck it in. And at the end, I just did a high jump. And, ended up doing it for the county, And I did the high jump, which I was always pretty spring-heeled.
Mm-hmm.
And I won the javelin as well, which I threw the intermediate javelin, and it would have won the senior one.
Wow.
And later on in life, of course, the golf ball nonsense really stemmed from a training day with Nottingham Forest. We used to train at Boots training ground at the side of the River Trent, next door to the ground. And there was a young kid there, God love him, and he was practicing his golf. And there was a ball had come down near the corner flag of the football pitch, and he was at the other corner flag. And I threw it back to him. And, the lads knew I could throw well, yeah. And he could barely believe it. He was about to run off. I said, "Oh, here's your golf ball." And the next thing, they were coming to measure me and try. I think the best throw I did was 141 yards, 1'6". It's about a smooth 8 iron, some of the older ones, it'll be a 3-wood. But it was just one of those things. I mean, how daft can it get? And then the mini jumping. Well, I was on 12 quid a week at Nottingham Forest as a young professional under Johnny Carey. I paid 10 bob tax, £3 10 shillings to the landlady, and 8 quid to travel yourself, feed yourself, and dress yourself. And there's one day we're running down towards Boots training ground, and there was a quite a big hedge. It was been about nearly 5 foot high, and I just used to run at it and hurdle it, jump over the hedge. And we're coming back this particular day, and there's a guy called Brian Williamson. He was a reserve goalkeeper who'd come from, I think it was Luton to Nottingham Forest. And he turned around, he said, "Tommy Cavanagh's mini is not as big as that hedge. Could you jump over that?" I said, "Yeah." So he says, "Go on then." I said, "Get lost." He said, "I'll give you a £5." I thought, bloody hell, half a week's wages. So I spun round and just hopped over the car as if it wasn't there. And of course, footballers being footballers, he never paid me.
Yeah.
But it was out. And then we had one or two sort of names that you might never have heard of, like John Robertson and Martin O'Neill.
Oh, legends.
Who exactly? Who used to go around Nottingham telling people, "Oh, you'll jump over your car for a fiver." Tenner if it's a jag.
How many Jags did you jump over? Because you did.
Only Joe Baker's.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So anyway, it was out, and that was the story. And of course, do you know, never a day has passed in my life without somebody mentioning jumping over a car.
But you only done it once in front of 12,000 fans, didn't you? Paul
I
Rooney's
did,
testimonial.
Yeah. 1 hour before kick-off.
Yeah. Could you imagine that now? I mean, it just wouldn't happen, would it?
No. Go on, Cristiano, up over that car, will you, before we kick off?
Oh, I mean, it's just the things that we'd done in the 70s. And that's why there was just so much fun. Players played with smiles on their faces. They took risks. They done everything what the beautiful game stood for. Who were your heroes growing up, Duncan?
Dennis Law.
Legend. Yeah.
Dennis Law. My wife said to me, we were together somewhere, and the lift opened, and Dennis Law got out the lift, and my missus said, "God, it's the first time I've ever seen him not have a word to say." It was just gobsmacked, when he met him.
Yeah.
And I got on great. Dennis is a lovely man. Got on very well with him. And I mean, ironically, we were at one of the old Manchester United players' funerals, and Dennis said to me, he said, "The only time I ever see you these days," he said, "is at a funeral," which was very sad, really. But he was a lovely, and what a player! I mean, what a player! He was incredible. He stopped Nottingham Forest winning the league championship in 1967 with an absolutely incredible goal. He dived feet first at a corner and hooked it in. And they beat Forest 1-0, did Manchester United, and won the league. And Forest were only a point behind them.
Yeah.
And then United went on and won the European Cup in the next season. But no, I loved them. Best Law and Charles, and my God.
I did say to Terry on the podcast, I said, I don't think Dennis would I said, Dennis Law wouldn't just get into any team in the world. He'd walk into any team in the world.
Yeah, I agree.
He was that great. And he would hang like a kestrel in the air, wouldn't he?
He would. And I think what a lot of people don't realise about Dennis was that he was flagged offside many times, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
His timing, his run timing was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
Bestie was a great mate of mine. We spoke a lot of dinners together. I mean, Mary Stavin, one of the old Miss World partners, Mary used to come up to me and say, "Duncan, don't let him have a drink. Don't let him go there." And I thought, I'm not a babysitter. I mean, Bestie was lovely as well. He's wonderful guy to know and be with. And we flew out to Munich and played in a game over there against the German 1966 team. And there was a few of the England team in that game as well. And it was lovely. It was lovely to be involved in these sort of things. And the camaraderie that exists to this day. When you think of players you played against, and like I'm thinking, what right have I got to be calling Pelé Eddie? And there I was in Brazil at the Copa Pelé, and he's come, "No, call me Eddie."
Why? Oh yeah, because it's Edson, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say, is that what he liked to be? Because Pelé didn't actually like the moniker Pelé, did he? It was a bit derogatory when he was first given it, but he got used to it, didn't he?
Yeah. And it's and Eusebio, oh my God, he came to Everton because they were playing Benfica, were Everton, and he'd played in '66 at Goodison Park. Yeah. And he came and I saw him, and I said to him, I said, I was with your pal yesterday, Nobby Steelers. And he just went, But it was.
And Alex Stepney,
yeah,
he applauded him, didn't he, when he saved that shot from his ABO?
yeah. He's a great guy as well, Alex Stepney. I play golf with Alex as well. He's smashing. A lovely guy, and he was a great goalkeeper. I hated him, at one stage.
Why?
Young kid, and we've snuck into Grimsby railway station on a Tuckney platform ticket, and jumped onto a train that took us down to Peterborough. We changed trains, and got onto the one down to London. Then we went underneath the little barriers at the underground station, and we've gone to Millwall to watch Grimsby play Millwall in southeast London. And we were calling in for everything because Stepney's saving everything. And they ended up beating Grimsby 2-1, and Grimsby had murdered them, really. And then later on in life, we became great friends, so tell him how much I hated him at the time. And we never paid for the train fares.
You were a big Grimsby fan. You travelled home and away, didn't you, to watch Grimsby in them days?
Yeah. It was, there was a gang of us. We had some massive crowds at the time, it was very, see, there was nothing else to do.
Yeah.
There were no supermarkets, there were no shopping malls, there were no mobile phones or things like that for people to get into. So, everybody looked forward to the match. And at school, the teachers, if they had an evening kick-off, Grimsby, which was often on a Tuesday, they'd turn around and say, no homework tonight, lads, Grimsby are playing at home.
Fabulous.
And this was even teachers that didn't like football, you know. Different world.
Fantastic. Luckiest or unluckiest grounds that you've played at during your career, Duncan?
Well, possibly Main Road.
As your luckiest or unluckiest?
Luckiest, luckiest. I just seemed to score every time I went there.
Yeah.
We had one daft situation where the goalkeeper had got injured, and Francis Lee went in goal.
Oh, blimey.
For Manchester City, and I scored a header. My first ever goal in football was at Main Road against Manchester City.
Yeah.
And God love him as well, Tony Booker, we lost only a few weeks ago. And the ball had come across, and Tommy Booth and Neil Martin had gone up, and the ball had gone between them and came to me, and I headed it at the Manchester City goal, and it went straight on Tony Book's right foot, and he volleyed it straight back into my face, and it rebounded into the back of the net. And that was it.
What an assist and what a finish. Did you have any unlucky grounds where it just never seemed to happen, to click by, some players that get that?
No, not really. I can't remember unlucky grounds here, because people used to say to me, who's your worst opponent? And I said, I never had any.
Yeah.
I said, what happened was, I said, if I had somebody that was giving me a problem, I used to go somewhere else.
And they've got to try and catch you as well, haven't they?
Yeah, well, that's right. It was amazing because of the way I played and the way I was. I got away with it because A, I was quick, and B, I could jump very high when they were trying to kill me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, the best one of the lot was, I can remember at Coventry City, George Curtis.
Yes, he was a big tough lad, wasn't he?
Big tough lad, centre half. And ball's come out there from the goalkeeper, and as it's coming down, I've sort of, with the outside of my foot, I've just tickled it past him, turned round, and the next thing I'm doing a cartwheel. And when I landed on the ground, and he picked me up by my elbows, and he's got me eyeball to eyeball, and my feet weren't touching the floor.
Yeah.
And he's picked me up with, by my elbows, and poshest voice of a footballer you've ever heard.
Right.
He just stroked my shirt, and he said, you won't do that again. There's a good boy.
No, sir.
I said, no, I'm quite good at left back, But
Tell me about Derek Randall. Though you were hit for six by Derek Randall. Big pals used to like cricket as well. You was a bit of a
well,
cricket player.
I didn't want to be a footballer. I wanted to be a cricketer, to be
Yeah.
honest. That was the point. But you only work for a few months in the summer, and who was going to employ you in the winter? You had to have rich parents, which I didn't have, and to do that, but I captained Lincolnshire, the kids, and like the under-16s, and we've gone to Matlock Bath to play against Derbyshire, Nottinghamshire, Yorkshire. And when I got there, I knew a lot of them, the lads from the different counties, because having played with them and played against them in other times. And get to the Nottinghamshire ones, and one of the lads is saying, I said, "Hey, don't wait till you see this kid." He said, he's 2 years younger than us. He said, but what a player. And anyway, he opened the batting, I opened the bowling, and I've gone there medium quick, right arm over, put the ball down right on the spot. So absolutely delighted. All I did then was just look in the air straight back over me head, and it ended up in the middle of this cow field. And it was Derek Randall.
He was some player, and he was a great fieldsman as well, wasn't he? Derek played many times for England and Nottinghamshire.
Yeah, he was. He was absolutely phenomenal as a fielder. Great batsman. But again, he was another one. He was like me at football. He was happy death when he played cricket.
Yes,
cricket.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
He used to walk out, and he'd be shrugging his shoulders and going like that. Some of the best fast bowlers in the world, and saying, "You're not very quick today, lad, are you?" And then he's got to go and face them, But it's just so lucky. The people you meet, the people that, and we all stayed friends. That's it. And every time you see them, you're delighted. It's great.
Dave Mackay was a massive influence on your career, wasn't he? He pretty much changed your direction, didn't he?
Oh, well, can you imagine how I felt? When he's come to Nottingham Forest, I thought, oh, he's going to hate me. I mean, this man, Captain Scotland, Captain Tottenham, Captain Derby, really hard man, an airy-fairy ball player. And he came to Nottingham Forest and he went, "Son, I play with two wingers and two big centre forwards." He said, "You don't like playing on the wing. Mansfield Town's been on the phone." He said, "Would you like to go there?" I said, "I'll go and try there." So I went and had a game at Mansfield, and he said, I came to see you. He said, "and I liked what I saw, son. You'll be in my team." Yeah. And that's how it started. And he picked up on me, and I got 20 odd goals for him, and half a dozen in the cups, and over 30 goals I got for him in the season. And we were in the second division at the time, and at the end of that season, I got a phone call from Alf Ramsey inviting me to the England squad to play in Lisbon. Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And we got over there, and I found out I was one of the subs, and thought, how lucky is that? I thought, I can't believe it. It was absolutely fantastic. And the irony of that game was McDonald got injured in the first couple of minutes of the game and came off, and I'm the only forward, and I'm like dead excited. I'm thinking, I'll be getting on. I'm going on. And then he turned around, he put his arm around me. Alf Ramsey said, "I'm very sorry, Duncan." He said, "We're getting run ragged here." He said, "Bawley, get stripped and get on with you and organise it." So we put Alan Ball on for McDonald, and I didn't get a go, but that was life. It was. I mean, I thought he was a great manager, absolutely great manager.
Was that the last game that he managed in Portugal away, the 0-0 game?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was his last game, wasn't it? He changed it a bit. He brought in a load of the younger players, but it didn't quite work out. And after that 0-0, Alf Ramsey was sacked. Yeah,
Uh,
Danny Williams at Mansfield. You did. I mean, basically in training, he said, "Just do what you like, son," didn't he?
yeah, he did. I mean, what happened was, I mean, you've never seen it so funny in your life. I mean, the Mansfield was, it was like Derby County for people listening here. It was really churned up mud and everything, very difficult pitch to play on. And I've gone on there, and my pal was playing for him, Jim McCaffrey, who was with me at Nottingham Forest, and he recommended me to Mansfield. Yeah. And he turned around and said to me, have a go on the left wing. So I thought, oh my God. So I went on the left wing, and says, have a go on the right wing. So I had to go on the right. So Jim McCaffrey walked over to him and he said, just tell him to do what he wants. And so Danny says, where do you want to play? Just play where you want to play. Well, the ball came to me. I went past two players, whacked it in the back of the net. Danny said, right, everybody in the shower. He turned around, he said, no, he said, you're in the team.
But that was the thing with you. I mean, Uddy always uses the word uncoachable. And you were uncoachable. So why coaches would try and coach you or put you into a position, you just say, give Duncan the ball and let him create the magic. And that's what you did.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it was lovely actually to play under a manager that wanted me to just play.
Yes.
And I had that with two amazing people, Dave Mackay and also Brian Clough.
Yeah.
And that it's incredible when you get somebody like Brian Clough. He walked on the pitch to me once in a game, and he went, and he turned around. He said, "Hey, I pay you to score goals. What you doing in our half? Get up the park." And he wouldn't let me come back. He wouldn't let me try any, likes of now, they have to do all sorts of things and do defensive things and one thing or another, then get the ball and miss the bloke with the 5-yard pass that's only 5 yards away from you. Yeah. And I think to myself, and then, they actually pat him on the head and he goes down and he's half dead and needs a lot of treatment. And it's incredible the way things have changed, but under Brian Clough, it was amazing. It was obviously difficult. I mean, he's gone to Leeds in the first place and didn't get on with Don Revie, didn't get on with the fans, and obviously that comment with the players, all these pots and pans and cups and medals, put them all in the bin. From here on in, we're going to win honestly. I just wonder, was he the architect of his own downfall?
Yeah, I think he probably was, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and. Then he went to Forest, and did amazing things there. But I mean, I just got total encouragement from Brian Clough. Just get out there and play.
I mean, he was probably more Maverick than the Mavericks, wasn't he, Clough? I mean, we had some great managers in them days.
Probably worse than he was worse than me. Yeah, but. Oh God, he was terrific, and he always had wonderful lines to tell you, and that kind of thing. I mean, that day when we played at Arsenal, it was amazing. We've gone down there on the train from Leeds to King's Cross platform, across to the Great Northern Hotel for a pre-match meal, big fat steak, few chips. Bowl of rice pudding, blobber jam in for afters. No, none of this dietary stuff there today. Then pick the team, and it was like David Harvey. I know you like to come and catch the ball, young man. Today, stop on your line. Paul Reaney, let George Armstrong have the ball. Don't worry about him crossing the ball. Norman Hunter and Paul Madeley will win everything in the air against Charlie George and John Radford. Where's Duncan? I've had it on good authority, young man. They've put in their midfield Peter Storey with the sole intention of maiming you, young man. Now, I've got news for him and for Arsenal because you're not playing. You can imagine exactly. I mean, and Do you know the old managers? All the great managers of the day back in those times. They had wonderful, wonderful ways
Yeah.
with the words, and it just came naturally.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a radio program whilst I was at Everton with John Toshak.
Yeah.
And he was great. Tosh was great. They called it Macintosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a wonderful program. It was very popular, sort of right throughout England. And it was like really, really rated. And there's one day Tosh is doing his bit, and I'm in the like what they would now call the green room with Bill Shankly, who he'd managed to get on the show. And Bill Shankly come to me and he went, "Son," he said, you played for Nottingham Forest reserves against Scunthorpe when I signed Kevin Keegan for £30,000. I could have bought you, son, for £6,000. I never did. What a mistake." He said, "You would have been one of the greatest players the world's ever seen if you'd have come and played with me at Liverpool." He said, "You'd have got 100 caps for England." He said, "Scored dozens and dozens of goals." He said, "What a mistake." Well, I went out that room feeling 10 foot tall. I told John Toshak, and he said, he tells that to everybody, Mac.
But again, Shanks and Cloughy, my two favourite managers of all time. They were just different class, wasn't they? Both of those managers. Mavericks.
Yeah. I know they were. And when you think that was my debut for Leeds, for playing against Liverpool in the Charity Shield, Shankly's Liverpool and Clough's Leeds. It was a great experience, it really was.
If you could replay just one game from your career, what game would it be, Duncan, and why? Man City in the Cup.
you mentioned to any Nottingham Forest fans, I get this all the time, Manchester City in the Cup.
Yeah.
And it was one of the, you always have one of these in your life when doesn't matter what you do, it's right.
Yep.
And you might just get one in your career. Well, if I was to turn around and point to a game, everything went right on the day. I just couldn't do anything wrong whatsoever. We beat Manchester City in the Cup, and we were in the second division, and they're near the top of the first division, and we beat them 4-1. And I got a situation once. I had a dribble and knocked it for Ian Bowyer, who'd come from Manchester City to Nottingham Forest, and he tapped it in. And Francis Lee came down the pitch and shook hands with me.
Wow!
And I thought, my God, that's amazing. And when you think their front line was Lee, Bell, Summerby, Marsh, and Law.
It was a bit tasty, wasn't it?
A little bit tasty, yeah. But that was one. I mean, I scored one and made a couple more, that kind of thing. But it was, and the players, they still tell the story to this day, But it's nice, it's lovely, But just a very lucky boy. I mean, these things, people talk about being a footballer, the harder you work, the better you'll become. I'm not so sure. I just think I was very lucky. You're born with the ability, I think.
Yeah, I think you were.
Definitely. And I think it's as simple as that, really. And, when I look back, and I don't wish to dampen anything in today's football, but I played at the best time.
Yeah, you did. I don't think there's a player today that could lace your boots.
Well, that's nice of you to say, but
I mean, I don't see any of them, Duncan, doing anything like what you used to do on a football pitch. I just don't see players taking those risks today. Would it be fair to say a game that you wouldn't like to replay was the game that you played in, what was it, the 6th round of the FA Cup that season against Newcastle United?
Oh, God. That was,
the void game.
Exactly. We've won the match. We're in the second division. Newcastle are in the first division, we're 3-1 up with about 12 minutes to go or something like that,
Yeah.
12, 14 minutes to go. And the Gallagate decided to join in the game.
Yeah, they did, literally.
Yeah, they all came onto the pitch, and we all got taken off the pitch. And it was Matt Gillis was our manager at the time. He was the one between Johnny Carey and Dave Mackay.
Yeah.
And he turned around, he said, I should fine you. He said, I've never seen you move so quick. He said, you're on the left wing. He said you're in the dressing room before anybody's moved.
I mean, it was all joking apart. It was scary, wasn't it?
It was scary.
Yeah,
it was scary. And but the annoying thing was, we were forced to go out again. I mean, his name was John. Was it Sir John Hall or something like that?
Yeah.
Who was the chairman and also the chairman of the Football Association. And I mean, today they'd been thrown out. They'd been as simple as that. And I mean, I talked to Frank Clark about it, who's now at Nottingham Forest still. And he still goes and watches all the Forest games. And he said, I've never been so ashamed in all my life. Of being involved in that game. And so John Hall, we never got to get a replay. He made us play again. The only reason we got a replay was that I think when they discovered, I think Malcolm McDonald was 25 yards offside for the winning goal.
And you played both those well, it wasn't a replay because that game was void, but you were made to play at Goodison Park twice, wasn't you?
We were.
Yeah.
So they were never going to let us play at Nottingham Forest.
No.
Which was it was pretty disgusting at the time, and I think most of the Newcastle people, that were there were ashamed of what happened on the day. And it didn't help themselves because they got to the cup final, and I think it's probably the entire population of Britain were Liverpool fans for the day.
Talk to me a little bit more about Brian Clough. Did you not get off an aeroplane? He said, I don't want to see you in that state again, young man.
Yes, he did. Yeah. I mean, he didn't say it at the time. And we got back to the hotel in Leeds and overnight in the same hotel he is. The Dragonora it was in those. And I just nodded off, and the phone went. And I picked the phone up, and it was a mezzanine suite, 5 minutes, don't be late. And I thought, oh my God. So I slapped some water over my face, I got myself dressed, went down there, and he said to me, don't let me ever see you get off an aeroplane in that condition ever again. I said, what, sober? He said, you were drunk. I said, I don't drink. Well, you are now. What would you like? And that was it, And the Damned United.
Yeah.
And then they did a little bit of a stage play, and it was mainly about that, me and Brian Clough, in that sort of situation, which I thought was a bit strange, a bit unusual, but I mean, I got invited to it, and it was all right, and it was what's his name? Somebody, Sheehan, wasn't it?
Yes, Michael Sheen.
Yeah,
was it who played Brian Clough? Played a great, great role.
Yeah, he did very well, to be honest. But no, it was what a life, what a life,
Talk to me about Anderlecht, because you'd left Leeds United. I couldn't believe that you were for 3 seasons on the trot. Your last season at Forest, the 2 full seasons that you had at Leeds United, you were in the team of the year, the PFA team of the year for 3 seasons on the spot.
Yeah.
And then Leeds United sold you to finance the deal for Tony Curry. Surely you and Tony Curry would have been an ideal partnership for Leeds United.
Well, we played golf together, me and Tony. Love each other.
I mean, 2 of the greatest players of, not just that generation, but of any generation. Yeah. Both absolute legends, gods. It's incredible.
Well, the Nottingham Forest thing really was, Jim Wilmer was the chairman. He was disgusting, absolutely disgusting. Yeah. He called me in to sign a new contract. Turn around, what do you want? And we negotiated on the spot. He's coming next Monday to sign a new contract. he held a press conference and told the press I was signing a new contract for Nottingham Forest and was going to stop to sell season tickets.
Yep.
I get there on the Monday and he said, "Oh, we've had a meeting with the board and we can't do the deal that you've asked for." And then he turned around straight afterwards and he said, "And if you want to transfer, put it in writing."
Right.
And I said to him, "I'll do better than that." I said, "I'll take my cards."
Yeah.
I said, "My contract's run out." And so Bill Anderson, the assistant manager at the time, Tim, said to Ken Smales, who was the secretary, "Don't you give him his cards." And Ken Smales said, "I'm not breaking the law for you or anybody else. They're his to take." So I took my card and I was out of pocket for the best part of 3 months because he had a long break at that time. Derek Dugan rang me up from the PFA and said, "Can I help?" And I said, "I'm okay at the minute, Derek." And I explained to him what had happened and how badly I'd been treated by Nottingham Forest. But, you're not badly treated by the club. It's just by a person.
Exactly.
And it was very frustrating. And then Alan Browne, who he was the manager from Blackpool, and he was supposed to have been at this signing on the Monday as well with me. Apparently was playing golf at Royal Birkdale.
Right.
So that was that. So the next thing I know was that they're back in for training, the players, and I get a quick phone call from Alan Browne saying, "You can talk to anybody you want." And he put the phone down.
Wow.
So I'm trying to think of his name, who the manager of Birmingham City was.
Freddie Goodwin.
Yeah, Freddie Goodwin.
Can you tell the press that I put a bid in for you?
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, he said our fans think we should be after every great player that comes on the market. He said, and we can't afford to do that. He said, but if you wouldn't mind telling the press that Freddie Goodwin and Birmingham tried to sign you. Then, of course, what happened was Brian Clough signed me.
Yeah.
And the first thing Clough said after I'd signed 3 blank contracts for him, because we had no agents in those days.
Yep.
And not that I'd ever been interested in an agent, but, they just trusted him. And he turned around and he said to me, "Oh, and by the way, don't you ever do to me what you did to Nottingham Forest." And I turned around and I just said straight to him, because people didn't bother me, I just turned around and said, "If you do to me what they did to me, I'll walk out on you as well." I said, "You shouldn't be talking like this." I said, "because you don't know what it was all about." And then I think he admired me for that, for having a go at him. And that was it, basically.
Anderlecht, what an experience.
Well, I found out from Jimmy Armfield sometime after. They were in trouble financially, were Leeds.
Yeah, Cloughy took all the money, didn't he, when they've sold him?
Yeah.
Paid him up.
Well, he bought me and John O'Hare and John McGovern.
Yeah.
And then he turned around and he said, and that was it. The club had no more money. And because he would have liked to have bought Peter Shilton and Martin Dobson.
Yeah.
They were the 2 players he would have liked to have signed, but didn't have the money to do it. So, it was a bit of a strange thing, when he came to me and he said, "Don't come in," he said. "So we're at the top of the league because of your goals." He said, "Would you be interested in playing for Anderlecht?" And I said,
"You couldn't make it up, could you?"
"No, you couldn't make it up." And I turned around and I said, "Well, it's not down to me, Jim. So I'll go and have a word with the boss and see what she says." And she said, yeah, it was okay. So I came back, and the irony of all this was that the next thing was that Anderlecht had sent a posse over, with directors to speak to me, see if I was going to sign on. I don't know if you know this story. It is quite comical. They're chatting away in French to each other, not knowing that I spoke French.
Yeah, you do, yeah.
And
fluent after 3 months.
Yeah. So what happened? What happened was that when I signed the contract, they turned around and said, Duncan, this contract never nearly happened because the amount of money you wanted to come and play for us. And I thought, oh, that was nice, So I'd won one, but then of course you realise afterwards, Gordon McLean went, Joe Jordan went. It was a question of a load of money coming back into the club. It was a shame. It was a great shame. I made a lot of mates in the end. It was not easy to join Leeds.
No, I bet it wasn't.
But it was very difficult to leave. Ended up with a lot of friends, at Leeds United, and still have. Even though I know we lost a lot of them in the COVID years. And Not one of them died of COVID, but we lost so many players. And Pauline, Norman Hunter, Terry Cooper, Mick Bates. It was really, really difficult. Big Jack, of course, had gone just prior to that, and it was a very, very sad time, so to speak. But I look back and I think to myself, I enjoyed everywhere I went. Got to Anderlecht, great team. I mean, they were the best team in Europe probably at the time. Robbie Rensenbrink, Addy Hahn, two players that have played in 2 World Cup finals, and Francois van der Elst, who was a terrific player, played for Belgium, and we had half the Belgian team were in our team. And I suppose the downside of playing for Anderlecht was there was only them and Bruges that were any good.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's a bit like in those days playing in Scotland. It was like the Celtic or Rangers that won everything, and that was very much what it was like in Belgium.
But you had a great time there. You had a lovely lifestyle out there in Belgium as well, and even joined up with the Dutch training camp and the great Rinus Michels. I mean, probably the greatest coach ever in football.
And he turned around and opened the door, because the lads had said to me, Ariane and Rensenbrink, they said to me, come with us, you might as well, because my wife was back home in Liverpool, because her father had died, and so she was with the mother-in-law, and so anyway, I've gone up to like Enkhuizen, I think it was, with the Dutch lads, and Rinus Michels came out and saw me. He said, he says, Mackenzie, you have shoes? Says, come, train with us, you must. And they were training for the European nations thing, and there's me sort of training with the Dutch guys. And imagine that in England. Go on, get lost. What are you doing here?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it was really, really nice. I mean, they were just so open about everything, and it was great. And the one that absolutely amazed me for skill was Van Hannigan, the left back.
Oh, yeah.
He was terrific, absolutely terrific.
They had some phenomenal players in that Dutch team. I mean, the team of 74, the total football team with Rinus Michels, and then the team in 78. I mean, the great Johan Cruyff and Nayskins. What was it like to just be on the same training pitch as like these legends?
They're just ordinary people, honestly. Yeah. I mean, this is what is so nice about things like I met and come across so many of the world's greats, and they're lovely. I mean, Beckenbauer from Germany was another one, lovely man, absolutely very, and a lot of the German players were so far up their own, at the time, but he wasn't, and as I said, I mentioned one or two earlier on, they're absolutely terrific people to be with, and I mean, we played in the Copa Pelé. Rivellino, what?
One of my favourite players, Rivellino.
What a player! I mean, and he was absolutely delighted. Alan Whittle, who played for Everton, he took over a lot of Everton memorabilia for the players, and Rivellino turns up with an Everton cap and an Everton scarf on.
Was Dennis Mortimer at that Copa Pelé with you?
He was.
Yeah. And then Did you see Ronnie Biggs on the mountain, Sugarloaf Mountain?
Yeah, Sugarloaf. We've got Powder Azuka. That's what they call it, Sugarloaf Mountain.
Yeah.
And I was up there with I was with Martin Buchan, would you believe? And we
Right.
get up there, and then there's Ronnie Biggs, and he's got 3 or 4 minders around him, and he's taking a lot of Americans round on tour
Yeah.
of Rio, and they're putting their arms up, and then when he turned around, and he saw who it was, no, he said, let him in, good God, great to see, and he made a fuss of all the players, which was nice, But it's different, isn't it?
Unbelievable. But what was believable, you had to leave Anderlecht. You came back to England. Everton was your destination. I'm
Yeah,
guessing, unfortunately, I mean, Billy Bingham, you were a bit of a Jonah, weren't you, with the managers? Because Brian Clough signed you at Leeds United within a few weeks. Clough had gone. Billy Bingham brought you to Everton. Billy Bingham got the sack. And
yeah, yeah,
unfortunately, I remember Malcolm McDonald when they told Malcolm McDonald who the new manager of Newcastle was, and he said, Gordon who? And
yeah,
literally they
yeah,
printed that, I think, on the front of the Sun.
yeah,
But
exactly.
Gordon Lee, I mean, certainly not a manager that players of your ilk would
No,
ideally like to play for, if I'm being
no.
kind.
I mean, it was quite dreadful, really. I mean,
Yeah,
he was managing Newcastle. We'd gone up there with the Everton team, and we beat them 3-1. And I'd played really well in the game,
mm,
and a week or so later, he's announced as the new manager of Everton.
yeah.
And I read a piece in the paper by John Keith, and he's a lovely guy, a good friend of mine. Yeah.
Wrote quite a few books, I know. Yeah,
And it's like underneath, it said, "Where to next, Mackenzie?" And he's underneath,
yeah,
he says, "I'll tell you what a star is. A star comes out at night." And I thought, oh God, I don't want any Fred Carno's players in my team,
yeah,
you know. And I thought, he's never ever met me,
yeah.
spoken to me, and he came to Everton, and he didn't speak to me at all. He
Blimey.
spoke to the players, and we got that 2 weeks later. We've gone to Morocco because there was a free weekend. We've gone to Morocco to play in a little tournament there, and we played. I think it was Nice, Morocco, and Czechoslovakia.
Yeah,
And so we get over there, and it turns out, or it transpires, that none of the Moroccan hierarchy could speak a word of English.
mm,
They spoke French and Arabic.
yeah,
And so they came to me and said, Duncan, would you mind, introducing us? I
yeah,
said, okay. So I did the introductions to between the various directors of the two clubs. And then there was a journalist came up to me and he said, I'd like to interview Mr. Lee, the manager. And so I said to him, so would I. Yeah. And so anyway, I went up to him and I said, Gordon, I said, this guy wants to interview you. Because I had no respect for the man as well.
yeah,
So I didn't call him boss, I just called him Gordon.
yeah,
And he turned around and said, yeah, sure, Donkey. So I said, what would you like to ask Mr. Lee? The guy said to me, is this Mr. Lee's first time in Africa? I said, is this your first time in Africa, Gordon? He went, Africa? It's not Africa. This is Morocco.
it's Northern Africa.
I said, we.
Oh, God.
Then he turned around and he said, and the press are sat facing us, and they're like chuckling away. And then he turned around and he asked, who are the players that we should be looking out for? So I said, Gordon, who are the players you should be looking out for? He said, well, there's Latch. I said, yeah, Bob Latchford, Numair Nerf. I said, number 9, centre forward. I said, he's like a great goal scorer. And anyone else, Gordon? So I said, Dobbo. I said, there's Martin Dobson, an Entregeur midfield. I said, he's a terrific player. So great to watch. Anybody else? He went, no, not really. So I turned around to him and I said, and in French, but by far the best player in the team is Duncan McKenzie. I said, he'd be wearing number 8. No, okay. So Gordon said, what did you say? I said, he just asked me what my name was. Well, the press were just falling about laughing.
Oh, God.
It was, honestly, God, it was embarrassing. But that's such his life.
It just is quite incredible, isn't it, how a football manager can really make or break a player and
Yeah.
and a team. They're just so important. And I look at that Everton team. I mean, Bob Latchford, being a Blues fan, Big Bob, what a great player. Darbo, I think you got Dave Thomas as well, hadn't you? I mean,
We
you've
had
got some
Isaac, yeah.
bloody good players.
Well, I mean, this happened with was it, who was his name? The England manager, after
Ron Greenwood.
Ron Greenwood. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Ron Greenwood had picked Bob Latchford because Bob Latchford got 30 goals in the season. Brilliant.
Yeah. 78. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's the manager of England. He turned around, he picked Bob Latchford, and the Steve Burtonshaw, who was the assistant to Gordon Lee, a Cockney guy himself, and he turned around, he said, who have you got out wide, Ron, with Bob Latchford playing? No, I said, I haven't got any wingers or anything like that. So, Steve Burtonshaw said, you should be playing Duncan McKenzie and Dave Thomas.
Yeah.
He said, the three of them, he said, the top scorers in the country. He says, are Everton. He said, they've done so well. And, he just ignored it. And he picked Bob Latchford, and poor Bob Latchford was left on his bill. Nobody supporting him, nobody crossing the ball to him. And as a result, he never played again.
It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, again, England managers, and I could go through all of them. I don't think we've had any of them any good apart from TV, in my opinion.
And the one that would have been Brian Clough, they were frightened to death of. They didn't want him there.
Well, Clough always says, when he was asked why didn't you be the England manager, he says, because I think they thought that I'd run the FA. And Brian Moore said, well, would you, Brian? Of course I would.
Of course I would.
and that was the thing. You played in 2 cup finals but never received a medal. How on earth did he drop you for that third game?
Oh, well, he couldn't wait. I mean, we had another situation. We played in the semi-final against Liverpool, and I'd been given man of the match, and I'd scored one and made one. It finished 2-2 with Liverpool. We actually won it 3-2, but Clive Thomas disallowed a perfectly good goal from Brian Hamilton at the end, and even sparked fury from John Toshak, who was a fellow Welshman and a Liverpool player who was injured. He said, what did you disallow the goal for? He said, an incident occurred. And John Toshak said, if an incident had occurred, he said, the Liverpool players would have all been up in arms.
Yeah.
He said, but not one of them complained, but you decided that it was not a goal. And it's crazy, isn't it? It is a crazy world at times,
But he was a mad referee, because he'd done that when Sweden played Brazil in 78 and the corner, and he blew up as the ball was in flight, and Zico then headed the ball in and disallowed it.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the 6-yard box, he headed it. It was 3 yards from the goal when he blew his whistle for us. But I mean, outrageous, really. But yeah, such is life. I mean, look back at the time and just think it was a bit bizarre, the whole shooting match. I mean, going back to Gordon Lee, why did you sell McDonald? He was the only one scoring goals. Oh, that's a good reason.
Oh, no, you just could not make it up. Some of the things, some of the stories, and some of the realisms about football management. Alan always says to me, he says, Paul, they get the job, they're not qualified. Some of them are a complete waste of time. Would there have been a club? Okay, you went to Everton when you come back from Anderlecht, but if I could put you in any team from the 70s, I'd have put you in that Stoke City team with Alan Hudson and Jimmy Greenough, and I think you'd have won the league.
Yeah, Alan Hudson, wonderful player. I mean, people, one cap for England. I mean,
two Germany and Cyprus.
Oh, they must have made a mistake giving him another one. I mean, what a wonderful. I mean, I played against him. He was playing for Seattle Sounders.
Yeah. Oh, you played over there, didn't you? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I tell you what,
Tulsa.
totally dominated this game, and I just thought, wow, what a performance, and he was terrific, absolutely terrific. And it's probably a name unknown to millions, it's a shame, because, he should be right up there, shouldn't he?
He should have had at least, well, like yourself, at least 60 to 80, and
Yeah.
maybe with, a decent manager, even a Centurion, because you'd both got that kind of ability. Bobby Latchford, I mean, how many caps did Big Bob get? You look at
One.
Rodney Marsh, not many. Charlie George. The list is endless of
Yeah.
70s players. That you look at the current crop, any
Yeah, exactly.
better than all. You'd walk into that England team now. It's unbelievable. Talk to me about your and you're all in your 70s as well. It's quite frightening. Talk to me about your time in Tulsa, because you come on the back of probably not your best time at Chelsea. Chelsea through selling Osgood and Hudson in 1974 to finance the East Stand really went downhill.
Because of Gordon Lee, I was kicked out of Everton.
Yeah.
It was as simple as that.
Mm.
He used to say before every game, I should be getting rid of you at the end of the season. I should be getting rid of you at the end of the season. We had one situation where the bus was late to take us from Liverpool to Queen's Park Rangers. And as the bus was late, he called in Roger Kenyon and Terry Darracott, lifelong Evertonians.
Yeah.
Called him in to say, I believe in being honest, he said, you both be getting free transfers at the end of the season. So how nice is that? This is just before they're about to play for him.
Blimey. I mean, talk about a man motivator.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Embarrassing. He was absolutely embarrassing as a manager. And the things with me, at the end, he said, I shan't argue with you because I should lose. So what was the point of even talking to him, But it was so frustrating. It was so, you watch an England team get overrun by little countries.
Yeah.
Because they had skillful midfield players.
Yeah.
And you're just thinking, how on earth do you allow this to happen? But
unfortunately, I mean, Uddy always says after 54, when we got beat by Hungary, they went back to the drawing boards. And Alan always says, but the problem is none of them could draw. And I think that's the thing.
A classic thing was when I was a kid, the Hungarian team came to Cleethorpes.
Right.
They came to Cleethorpes and they stayed in like this. It was like a type of Butlins, but wasn't Butlins, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing. And they turned up there with the cameras, the BBC, and in those days the cameras were about 8 foot high and the blokes had to stand on a platform to look through the camera. And Puskas had got the ball and he was just punting it into the back of the net with his toe. Toe poking the ball, because they're all steel toe caps in the boots in those days. And they're all hitting the back of the net. And it's like, we're there as kids, and it was like, oh, wow, have you seen this? He's absolutely amazing. It's fantastic. Look at this. And then the guy from the BBC turned around and he said, would you ask Mr. Puskas why he's kicking the ball incorrectly? And Puskas knew enough English to turn around and say, where is Bal? Where is Bal? And I thought, my God. I mean, crazy, wasn't it?
I mean, one of the all-time greats, the wonderful Ferenc Puskas. I think he scored, 84 goals for Hungary in 83 games. Bloke was an absolute legend. I mean, scored like 2 hat-tricks in European Cup finals. The bloke's just different.
Well, when you think about it, how could you put him and Di Stefano in a team and not win 5 European Cup finals on the trot?
It's frightening, ain't it? NASL America, I do want you to talk to me about that. What was your time like there, and how did the move come about to America? What's the connection?
It was Howard Kendall.
Yeah.
Howard turned around and said to me, Because I was at Blackburn then. I'd left Chelsea, gone to Blackburn, played with Howard Kendall. He was a player manager. And he went, Dunk. He said, I can't believe what's happened. He said, the board of directors said, I've got to sell you because they can't afford to give you another contract. Yeah. So he turned around, he said, I battled against that, and I battled against that. He said, and in the end, just to skip over your question, he turned around and went into him at the end. He said, one Duncan McKenzie goal, we'd be playing in the first division now. Mm. He said, Swansea are there with John Toshak. Yeah. He said, just one goal, that was the only difference between Blackburn going up and Swansea going up. But so I'm there with basically with Howard Kendall. I mean, what a great man! He's a great leader. Yeah, great player. And sort of, I'm happy as Larry playing with him. And they've turned around and said to him, "You've got to get rid of him." Mm. The next thing he come on, he said, "I've had Terry Hennessy on." He said, "From Tulsa." He said, "You played with him at Forest, didn't you?" I said, "Just a couple of times." He's quite a lot older than me, And I said, "I played with him a couple of times." And he said, "I'd love you to go and play at Tulsa. Would you go?" And I said, "Well, another one. I better see the boss first." So we went chatted with the missus, and she said, "Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind that at all." So I went over to America, and wow! I mean, can you imagine? I'm getting paid to see all of North America, Canada, all of the states. I've been there. Terry Hennessy said straight away, "I'm stopping at his house with him and his wife." And the first day, he said, "Don't unpack all your bags." He said, "The day after tomorrow," he said, "we're going to Bermuda." And I went, "Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bit sick." He said, "We're just having a bit of pre-season training." So we went over there. And tried to find Clyde Best, but I couldn't find him. I met some of the family, and but I didn't bump into Clyde. And so we played a couple of games there in pre-season. Then we came straight to Florida. We had a practice match against Orlando in that sort of massive stadium. I think it's the Orange Stadium or something like that they call it. And then we started off and we played against Tampa. And we beat Tampa with something that they'd not done before. So I was there with David McCreary. He was in that team as well, and Alan Woodward, who played at Sheffield United. Yep. And we beat them 1-0, and so that was a great start. Then we came home, and I think we played Calgary at home, and I'd scored the only goal with a header at the near post. And so we started off on fire, and then Tulsa had finished near the bottom every year. And for the first time, they were looking half-decent team, So it went really, really well, I have to say. And apart from playing all over the States, we played in Vancouver, Seattle, Calgary, Edmonton. I wouldn't recommend Edmonton. When they call it Deadmonton, it's probably right. Played Toronto, played in Montreal. Can you imagine? You're at the end of your career and you're going over everywhere you went was business class and that kind of thing. Looked after us. They did look after us. Do you remember Joe Max Moore played for Everton in America?
No, I'm not familiar with that name.
Right, he's got more American caps than anyone else. 125 times, I think he's played. He played left winger for Everton.
What's his name? Say it again.
Joe Max Moore.
No, I'm not familiar.
And his dad, Carl Moore, became a great friend of mine. He owned the club. He was a billionaire. He was a billionaire, and he'd made all this money from oil sludge.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, they put sludge into the oil to bring the octane level down to suit various states. And got something like a penny a barrel, that he made from it, and he made a fortune. Yeah, Joe Max Moore, and I played golf with him and tennis with him, and he was a lovely guy. We had a lovely time in Tulsa, and you could tee off at midnight at the local golf course because they had a floodlit golf course there because I think it was McDonnell Douglas, the airlines. People were knocking off near midnight, and they could go and have a game of golf.
Wow. Tell me about Alan Woodward's. Did half of his house end up in your pool, or was it his house in his pool?
Oh my God, no! It's the next doors.
Next door's pool.
He turned around, he's rung me up. Don't get your ass round here. Come and have a look at this.
Where's my house?
Oh, I know. We had the tornadoes. I mean, I've got in the car. I've gone round the corner. I'm not exaggerating. This building must have been 50 or 60 foot high. There was an Arctic lorry on the top of the building. Can you imagine? And carried on. I've got round to Woody's house. The entire, well, there were bungalows, but they call them houses,
Yeah.
So this entire bungalow was in his pool. And yet Woody's washing was still on the line.
What did he expect you to do, though, Dunk?
Well, I used to go round and have dinner with him,
Yeah. Can you put my house back to normal?
Yeah, my missus was over in England at the time, and I used to say to Woody's wife, I couldn't eat another thing on Sunday. She says, "All right, then, if you got to bring me a bottle of this." So I used to take a bottle of red wine round for the Sunday lunch, and I go there for Sunday lunch every Sunday,
Fantastic.
So I mean, it was lovely. I mean, there were so many nice friends, American friends. Not many were good at football, but they were fabulous athletes.
Yeah.
So I just used to say to them, "Get that ball, give it me." Get it back again, give it me.
Before we sign off, we've got to talk about the European Cup final in 1975. It was quite a ridiculous selection, wasn't it?
It was. I mean, and Billy Bremner went mental.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't very happy with the gaffer. And he turned around and said, if anybody's going to get you a goal, it was Duncan. Why haven't you put it? But Jimmy Armfield, he was a lovely man, lovely man. He really, it was like, this is Don Revie's team's last chance.
Yeah.
That was it. And he picked all Don Revie's players. And, I mean, Trevor Cherry had just been made England captain, would you believe?
Yeah, no, I did find that really difficult to believe, if I'm absolutely honest, bless him.
Yeah, and the two of us, he turned around, he said, "I'll be building a team around you two next season." He said, "But it's Don Revie's team's last chance." So what can you do? Just sat there on the bench, and it was hard to take. I mean, especially when you saw what was going on. I mean, the referee, was as bent as, it was incredible. We had Franz Beckenbauer, who wasn't a great tackler anyway. I mean, he tripped up Alan Clark in the box, and such an obvious penalty, and he never gave it. Peter Lorimer scored, and he give it as offside, and that was very doubtful. And then, of course, they got a couple, and we lost 2-0. But it was. I was annoyed more than upset. That you've got there and you've not got on. But that was life.
Again, like Leeds are losing. I mean, why do they not put Duncan McKenzie on the pitch? I just don't get it. And the one thing that there is no room for in football is sentiment. There's no room for sentiment. You play your best 11 to win a game of football. They've had their time.
Exactly. I mean, that is what you've got to do. Oh dear. I mean, it was just so frustrating, but just had to put up with it. I look back and think to myself, well, I felt as if things might have turned out better for me in that respect, but not the end of the world. These things didn't happen. And I thought, well, so what? I mean, I've got mates in the game, and like Matthew Letizia, Tiz said to me, England. And he just swears about one name that got picked in front of him who wasn't a very good player. I said, I know, exactly. And it's like almost these people detested ability. you know, and it's and all the, I mean, the Gordon Lee comments when he was at Everton. Terry Derricott knocked the ball down the line to me, just bent it down the line to me, and I've gone past the centre half and gone in, and one thing or the other, and we've had a bit of a chance, missed it, and Gordon Lee turned around and had a go at Terry Derricott. What do you think you're doing? Bending the ball down the line to Duncan. What do you think you're doing? So he says, well, he pulls the centre half out. The centre half hates it being out there with him because he knows he's going to get done. So Duncan goes past him. He said, I don't give a monkey's what Duncan does. He said, when you get the ball, he said, I want you to kick it. Kick it over there back foot, and we turn around and chase after it. You know, and you think this is a first division football.
Oh, tactical genius, wasn't he?
Oh dear. And you know, and then I think the final straw with me and him was that the press. I'd scored the winning goal at Goodison, gone in for a press meeting, and Gordon Lee's there as well. And one of the press guys said, "Gordon, what have you got against Duncan McKenzie?" They said, "I'll tell you what I've got against Duncan McKenzie. He never chases lost causes." So I turned around and said to Gordon, I said, "Gordon, that's why they're called lost causes." Well, the press all started laughing. He was fuming and charged out of the meeting. And by now, I'd just lost all respect for him in any way, shape or form. And, yeah, it was like, that's the way it went.
Just unbelievable. You couldn't make it up. If you could have a one-to-one with anyone, dead or alive, literally anybody that's ever graced the planet, who would that be, Duncan?
You know, I don't really know. I couldn't answer that, to be honest with you. The football terms, Dennis, he was my hero. Yeah.
And any songs or song evokes memories during your playing career? I mean, the 70s was a great time for music. Lots of football players wanted to be rock stars, and certainly the rock stars wanted to be football players. But is there anything that evokes memories for you? You playing days?
Yeah, well, obviously, I mean, there are people I met, Justin Hayward and the Moody Blues, Nights in White Satin. Yeah, I mean, he was a great mate of mine, Justin. And we still exchange Christmas cards. You know, that's nice. But, you know, obviously the Beatles was phenomenal. I met Ringo. He's the only one of the Beatles that I did meet. But Cilla Black was a good pal of both me and the missus, you know. She was lovely. No, I just had a great life, that's all.
Some wonderful memories, Duncan. You put a smile on our faces. You're putting a smile back on our faces. We took a trip down memory lane. Can I thank you so much for your time, sir? It's been an absolute blast. You're an absolute legend and a superstar.
Cheers, pal.
Lovely. Thank you, Duncan. Really appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, mate. Bye-bye now.
Cheers, Mockran. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks, Duncan. Cheers, pal.